Welcome YouTube, Chober here, and in the past few weeks for VCT Stage 1 2026, I've seen a greater influx of people coming in and wanting to ask questions about what we're seeing during the professional play of VCT. And now sometimes it's newer viewers, maybe who aren't as accustomed to watching Pro Valorant or maybe watching Valorant at all, but other times it's people who have been following along, but things change all the time and we're seeing new players, new strats, new styles come up, and also a lot of us that discuss the game and break down the game discuss things a little differently or have differing takes. So I've seen a lot of curiosity around that. So I figured now moving forward, whenever there's something that I've been discussing a lot or it's something that I highlighted during the watch parties, I'd like to take this chance to try to expand on it a little bit more, because I try my best whenever you ask questions during watch parties, but there's a live match going on, and if it keeps moving onward, I'm either going to gloss over it, it's going to be broken up into like 5 different rounds of explanation, and that might get lost in translation. So today we're going to be talking about Kayo. Now, this is an agent that I've said I still think it can be really good. I just think it needs a lot of effort, so I totally understand why not as many teams are using it, but we've been seeing it pop up a decent amount more, especially in Pacific, on a couple particular maps, and one of them is Breeze. So this is going to be just a one-round breakdown just to highlight where I think or how I think Kayo can shine and how I think Stax really exemplified that, and maybe a little bit in contrast to how Crazy Guy was playing it. Now, obviously, if you look at the scoreline, this is map 3 when they were playing in the lower bracket this past weekend. It's not going very well for RQ, and Stax is definitely popping off. So I'm not saying it's just how he used the agent. That was the hard carry part. I think Stax shooting was definitely the carry aspect of this match. But there are still things that I think really showed me the difference in how they kind of interpreted their compositions, considering that we're looking at mirror comps, and what I liked about how Stax was such an integral part, in my opinion. And we're going to touch upon Izu a little bit as well. So the composition is, we got Neon as the solo duelist, you've got Kayo, and then Sova as double initiator, and then you have double controllers, specifically 2 wall controllers, or you might hear them being called 2 slicers, since the walls generally slice a part of the map rather than putting up a little circle. And we have them on both sides. So obviously, in a world of a lot of double duelists, this isn't going to be as fast, but you're going to have a lot more control over the fights that you take. And when you look at it in first glance and you're thinking about older metas, you're thinking double initiator, oh, more info. But one thing that we've noticed coming into 2026, and because of the patch changes we had in the offseason with everything being nerfed for initiators on their cooldowns, it's not actually that much more info, right? Because if you use it, you just don't have more info for the full next minute. So you have to be really careful about how you use it. And what I like about how Stax and T1 are using their initiators is that they are still using it to fight. So let's watch how this round plays out. Now, right off the rip, what you're going to... Oh, let's lower that volume a little bit. Okay, that should be fine. So right off the rip, what you see ROQ doing is they use the 0 point right away. And that's been going on pretty much, I want to say, 8 out of 8 rounds, because this is round 8 right now. Maybe like 7 out of 8 rounds. But you'll see Crazy Guy either put up a knife here, or I think he's done it here once. But basically, off the rip, off the barrier, he's using the knife because he, in my opinion, probably what Crazy Guy from RQ is looking for is this a safe fight? Are they going to push out? Because what we're seeing a lot of people do on defense now, especially when people are playing double duelist, is pushing out for control. Now, T1's not playing double duelist, but that's kind of been the pattern. And so it seems like RQ wants to make sure that they can get right up to the site so that they can continue on with their execute. Now, Stax, for pretty much all 8 rounds so far, does not use his 0 point at all in the beginning of the round. He just saves it. So when does he use it? He uses it when he's going to take immediate action off of it. The one time he uses it somewhat early without really any tell is, I believe, on the eco in round 2, because T1 lost the pistol here. And he uses it on A main after they kind of hear some noise on B. So he uses it, they smoke it off, T1 smokes it as well. He tags only the Viper, so he uses the 0 point to see if he can go get the orb, or take space, or if he can rotate if he doesn't ping anybody. He pings the Viper in that round, so he gets the orb and he backs out, and then he's still holding on to sight, and then if you missed it, spoiler alert, RQ gets thrifted, but it's not because of the 0 point. But that's the only time he uses it early. All other times, he's holding on to it until he knows that an attack is coming. Now, we should also note, Izu also only using the shock dart. but I'll touch upon that at the end of the video. So as we watch, okay, Stax now has a 0 point ready. He's literally only waiting to delay here, right? He's just holding on to it. He's not like, now in the past, what you'd see teams do if it was on like a 40-second cooldown is you'd be like, okay, hey, we should like ping it so we know how many there are so that we can push out like B or mid. But here, you know that if you ping it, and let's say there's 5 here, and you guys don't rotate in time, or you rotate blindly without information, they can just still attack after the 8 seconds. And if you don't get enough people, then you're really screwed, because you don't have that info until another minute later, which at this point would be the end of the round. So Stax is looking at a 0 point not as a refreshable piece of utility, really. It's really just, this is what wins us this fight, and completely ruins their plan. So he's waiting. RQ's like, they're sorting out, obviously they're going through their comms and they're trying to make sure that they have everything laid out. So they say, okay, we're going to go. Now, Izu drones first. The drone, while it is a piece of utility, is not something that you're using to really win fights. That is pure scouting, right? Like, you're not going to suddenly drone in a 5v5 firefight. But Recon Dart, 0 point, these are things that you can utilize to win a 5v5 fight. So Izu says, okay, I'll use my drone because they've cut all noise, so we just need to know if we've been faked out or not. He uses his drone. It causes our Q to go ahead with their drone. And as soon as we hear the drone, the flash, and the wall, Stax says it's go time, and he's 0 points. Now, what does 0 point do? It not only tells you how many people are there and who is there, but it also nullifies their abilities. Now, what does that mean? That means the Neon, especially as a solo duelist, isn't going to be able to come in and take space, right? Because they're not going to be able, they wouldn't be able to throw their relay bolt, they wouldn't be able to slide, things like that. So you're not able to run in. So you're just entirely stopping it. And against the Neon, this is where the nullification really comes in. The silence comes in really strong, because it's not a matter of like Jet can still dash past it before you get pinged and things like that, right? But with Neon, it's like, okay, like I just can't do it anymore. I'm just walking around now, and I'm not an actual special agent. I'm just a normal human being in the Valorant world. And so you completely stop it. It also means that when you're playing solo duelist, any other extra support that you might want to put out with something like extra flash or another shock dart or anything like that, completely gone. Toxic screen, if you wanted to control it, completely gone. So Stax just completely single-handedly ruins this play. And RQ says, okay, we got 3 pinged, right? We have to stop here. They know that there's 3 here. Immediately, T1 puts up a smoke. Now, during this is the important part. Because T1 knows that they can stop and win the fight even with smaller numbers with a single 0 point, we've had these 2 guys push out for mid. Instead of pushing out B, they say, okay, let's take this control, because if we go mid, if it is A, we can support fast. And if it's B, we can go off of a retake. And so during that, Meteor now, it's Meteor. Meteor is going to just be tasked with covering Buzz's back, and Buzz holds with an op angle in mid, and then these guys, the 2 initiators, are just holding close, off of the smoke. Do note that Izu's still holding on to his recon, because now that you don't have the 0 point, the recon is going to be what helps you win the next big fight. Obviously, from here on out, I mean, Buzz gets a collat. It's kind of over at that point. So the round breaks apart. But my point being that you can't really be thinking about Kayo getting you info anymore. Kayo is really just there to stop and gain an advantage in the fight. Izu also is rarely just blindly firing off the recon to see, hey, you think they're A? He says, no, this recon is what helps us fight through these smokes and these walls. This recon is what helps us go for the actual retake when we're going to take action, like proactive action. Same thing with the 0 point. And I think that was a big, big difference between how T1 and RQ play these comp, where RQ was still playing it like it was the olden days, but the info they got didn't really help them act on anything, right? I mean, if you get up to here, yes, it helps you take a main, but then what? You're not gaining an absolute advantage in the next fight on the site. You don't have surefire ways of overcoming a potential disadvantage, right? You're just getting more comfortable in your own game plan, whereas T1 is saying all of that util is strictly to ruin your game plan. And we see this. I mean, again, 7 out of the 8 rounds so far, Stax waits, hears util, 0 point. And if he's not there, he saves it. And then he comes in, same thing with Izu. They show up for the retake or for the flood, and then they use it, and then they fight. And so I think that KO usage is massive. Now, how big will that be at Masters London? We'd have to wait to see, because I think Neon's also going to be nerfed. But because the Initiator and Sentinel changes probably aren't coming until after Masters London, I do think if any teams have really good KOs with good map understanding, that can make a big difference. But overall, props to T1, I think, also just saying, okay, we don't get info with info util, we get info with contact, getting reads off of the enemy's actions, things like that. With the op, obviously, that's going to be really helpful on defense. So they take this extra space. They don't need all the information. They just need to be able to have the information to win the fight. That seems to have been the idea they had here on Breeze. And so it looked very, very good. Just as a caveat before we wrap up the video, that this single map doesn't exactly give me all the confidence in the world for T1, because obviously it wasn't exactly the cleanest win. I mean, the 2 maps they won were very, very... not very one-sided, but quite one-sided. But obviously, they didn't exactly win 2-0. And I would say that T1 doesn't seem to be at full strength yet either. We don't even know if they're going to Masters London. But I just wanted to point out that I thought this Breeze and the way that Stax was using it is exactly what I wanted to see. Like, I wanted to see KOs, good KOs around the world, prove that it can be really good against these high-burst, meta and styles that we've had for the first half of 2026. And Stax, as an OG KO, has absolutely fulfilled that dream. So thank you so much, Stax. Shout out to T1 and Stax for that one. It was an absolute pleasure to see. Obviously, these guys are going to be playing. T1's going to be playing Paper X in Ho Chi Minh for Stage 1 final weekend. We'll be watch partying that match as well, so hope you guys tune in. If you'd like more breakdowns, if you want to ask questions during the live matches on what you're seeing or what's being explained, absolutely drop by either on Twitch or here on YouTube, and we'd love to have you join us for those live watch parties. That's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, let me know down in the comment below what else you would like to see explained in the future, and I hope you subscribe to the channel as well, so you stay tuned for all the other videos in the down the road as well, and we'll see you next time.